Okay, so we looked at this customer journey of the in-store and online, right? When someone goes online, there's a spin wheel, something there to capture their information, potentially convert them into a first-time customer. When they come in store, they're having a wonderful experience, and so they're more likely to either provide information or give some positive feedback. And again, in store, the information is also being captured. But then we have to wonder, okay, after you get their email or phone number and they shop, even if they have a good experience after they review, what happens after that? How do we keep in contact with them? How do we keep that positive experience going after they walk out of the store? Because yeah, half the 50% of first-time shoppers, they don't come back. And so we need to be able to get those people back. So what happens after those emails are collected? Well, this is crazy, but you'd think that, so one of the most important things to do is send a welcome email. And out of the 150 stores that I've audited and looked through their campaigns that they send out on a regular basis, or what they have just set up automated, probably 40% aren't even sending a welcome email automated. And if they are, some of the information is old. It was set up 2 or 3 years ago. It's outdated. Doesn't really explain anything. And it's not really personalized for the experience that they might have had in store locally, or it's just missing some really core details. So I'm going to run you through, what does a good welcome flow look like? What are some of the components of a great welcome flow email? How to keep it simple without overloading someone. So let's take a look at this, and I'll walk you through a little bit of this. Okay, so here's an example of a welcome email. We want to do 4 main things here. We want to reinforce a store's brand, explain rewards program, display popular brands, or promote in-house products. So on the example on the right, it's for Happy Valley in Massachusetts. Now, a lot of times I see stores take the logo and they blow up the logo and make it huge. You don't need to do that. They know where this email came from, right? It'll say it in the sender name, it'll say it in the email address. And so what you can see here is if we put the logo up top, we gave it space so it's not overcrowded. We also didn't blow it up so that it's huge and obnoxious. Also, some of the store logos don't look very good, and so you don't want to blow that up in someone's face. Luckily, Happy Valley looks great here. And so, okay, we have the logo there. It contrasts well. It's at the top. Next, we start to reinforce the store's brand a little bit. Use some lifestyle image on the back, in the background. I mentioned Happy Valley loyalty rewards. Add a little tagline there, happy rewards for happy members. Then we explain the rewards programs. So customers know they can earn points on every purchase. And okay, when I do collect points, what can I use those for? Well, they have a really great, basically a 10% cashback program. So if you spend $250, you'll get 250 points, which means you can get $25 off your next purchase. That's awesome. Display popular brands. So they have their in-house brand, which is the 4th point here. And so that's where we want to promote in-house products. And then later down in this email layout, we would see a couple other of categories of their in-house brands, and then clear buttons, right? We're not going to overload and show, here's the specials, here's all this other information, here's our events calendar. No, just show them a couple main points like we have here. Here's 2 other examples. On the left here, again, introducing customers to loyalty program, talking about this loyalty lifestyle, thanking them for joining, again, reinforcing that brand a little bit at the top. Then how it works, spend $1, you get a point. Once you get enough points, here's the percentages off you can get. And then a shop here. And then this store has weekly deals on certain days of the week that don't change. And so we included that there. So they know on a daily basis, here's what's going to be available for discount. And then on the right side here, we can see another example of going from top to bottom, again, introducing the brand, and then talking about getting points. And this one even says here, points don't expire. So making sure that people know, again, engaging graphics. And we've seen that welcome emails, if they're set up correctly, if they're sent out at the right time, and they contain the right types of information, you'll get great engagement. And so subject line is important. That makes sure people open the message. And then whatever you feature here, you'll get clicks from that as well. Here's a basic welcome email sequence that you can go through. 3-piece sequence. Keep it simple, keep it easy. You can iterate on this later on once you get data. So when someone signs up for the first time, get them into that list, segment, audience to where they're going to get that first welcome email. And then if they signed up but didn't purchase, so if they signed up in store, they're clearly making a purchase. But if they signed up online or found another way to make their way on the list in the system, and they haven't purchased in about 3 days, then send an email explaining customer favorites and popular products. This is a cognitive psychological technique called the bandwagon effect. So you show someone, hey, here's what everyone else bought, you should too. And showing them different categories, right? The most popular categories like flower, vape, edible, pre-roll. You can toss in concentrates if you want. And you can say, here's the most popular products in each of these categories. Make sure you include links to each of those. And then if they still haven't purchased 3 days after that, so 6 days after they initially signed up, send them a coupon for a first visit discount. Because if someone signed up online, maybe they're thinking about coming in, but then decided not to that day for whatever reason. Well, they're probably going to purchase at some point. So you want to capture their purchase when they're ready. Most stores have a first time visitor discount. You can use that, or you can use something a little bit different specifically for online customers to incentivize them to come in more. So this is a great 3-piece sequence to introduce the brand, follow up with them if they haven't purchased with popular products, and then if they still haven't purchased, try to get them to convert and come in for their first time. So then, okay, they come in for their first time, whether it was through this type of sequence or they came in store, the next really critical email that we want to send out is going to be a post-purchase. And so after their first purchase, send this around 10 days after. Why 10 days? Well, we found at stores about 70 to 80% of dispensary shoppers, they purchase every 7 to 30 days. So we want to give them some time to consume what they initially bought, right? And basically we want to get into their purchase cycle of when they're ready to restock and re-up. So give them 10 days. At that point, they're probably ready to start purchasing again or thinking about it. So that's when we want to hit them with a purchase message. And because we know that about half customers won't come back after their first purchase, it's very, very critical to get them back. And so this message here, the post first purchase, is going to be critical, which is why we typically recommend, okay, give them an offer, give them an incentive, something that makes sense. You can give them a percentage off. You can give them points. If you have a really strong rewards program, you can give them dollars off. Or in this example, you can give them dollars off with a threshold. So they can save $12 if they spend $60 or more. What we like to see is using a dollar off because it tells customers exactly how much money they're going to save. Most customers can't do percentage math. And so you might say 15%, 20%, and they just might not know how much money they're going to save. They can't make that calculation. But if you say, hey, you're going to save $10, $15, $12, they know exactly how much. Or if you're going to go the percentage route, give them a percentage worth coming in for. For example, if your average ticket is $50 and you give them a 10% off, they're only saving $5, right? And so for most customers, psychologically, 10% is like the bare minimum. And most of the time that won't encourage or spur them into action. 15% is like at the high end of the mild discount range. When you start to get a 20, 25%, that's where you're getting into somewhere where it'll motivate more customers. So again, depending on where your margins are at, where your cost of acquisition and where your LTV is, figure out with your financial team what margin you have to play with on that second purchase. Because again, if you know that half the customers won't come back, how do you get more of those defected customers and lapsed customers to get back in? Sometimes it's going to cost you a little bit extra, but they weren't going to come back in anyway. So you might as well get them in, and then you can start to nurture them for more and more purchases. And after every purchase they make, send them something. It doesn't always have to be a discount, but you got to train them to come back in, stay top of mind to them. If you can, be conversational. Sometimes some email programs will let you mention what products, brands, or categories that they previously bought, so you can bring that up as well. You can mention if there are any new products on the menu, new brands being carried, anything they might be interested in. And so find ways to engage with those customers after purchase. I rarely see this enabled in a lot of the stores that we audit. And so this is one of the biggest misses for dispensaries not reaching out to customers after a purchase.